Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
All right, guys. Friday. Actually, looks like there's some stuff going on today. So, well, let me show you what I mean over here on the charts. Okay, so you got the treasuries. All right, yesterday they kind of stopped that fall. We had a little bit of an up session, although it wasn't until I'd say a bit later in the day. And now this morning we are falling down, and I am not aware of any headlines or anything. After this, I think I'm going to go back, review everything, make sure I didn't miss something, because that came down. We did just have like Canadian numbers, but those usually aren't important, so I don't know if it's that. Over here in the S&P 500, they just continue to be on a tear, man. Like, that is a good recovery. Will they reach new all-time highs? Maybe. I mean, it looks like they have a good chance, let's say. Oil up just a tad, but they're maybe starting to pull themselves out of it. I don't know. The longer term trajectory here for oil probably is to the downside, at least until the election. So, gold and silver. Oh my! Hey, gold got a big boost overnight there, didn't it? Okay, and copper really going. What is with this? There must be some China headlines I missed here. Japanese yen still just looks like dead and bleeding on the side of the road. Like, this is just crazy. And we continue to rotate around 105 on my synthetic dollar index. So, Bitcoin a little bit better today. I mean, they're not out of the woods yet, but it's a little bit better today, huh? Okay, let's come around here. Let's do a little bit of reading. Oh, by the way, good morning, Octavius, Smitty, Uzi, Rom, Jake. By the way, Uzi, were you able to install the new version of that indicator? I kind of... So here's what happens. I figured out the issues that was kind of making it act a little weird. Part of it had to do with... Okay, so if you're doing something on each on bar update, right? Then basically you get the update at the end of the bar. You like get the update at the end of the bar, and bar 0 is the bar that just finished. Okay, but if you do something on each tick, then you the only way that you can really like detect the start of a new bar is if you say, is this the first tick of a bar? Okay, so you're at the first of the bar. So bar 0 is the new bar that is just beginning. And to look at the bar that you just completed, you have to look at bar 1. And I had a hard time trying to figure out some logic that would handle both cases. So I basically copied it. Well, not copied it. I basically wrote both. I said, okay, if they have set calculate to on each bar, then use this method. And if they have set calculate to on each tick, then use this method. It doesn't seem to work like the old one. Like the one I was using seemed more like it kept a running tally. The new one, no matter what the period setting is, seems to just oscillate from 0 to 1. No, that's not right at all. Huh. Okay, well, let's double check it here, shall we? So let me show you how I was testing it. Maybe I screwed something up. Actually, let's just double check here. I'm gonna come down through here. The Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said they have destroyed 20 of Hamas's 24 battalions so far and hopes he and U.S. President Biden can overcome disagreements, while he added that they have to defeat Hamas in Rafah. This is just going so poorly for Biden, I feel. We've talked too much about that this week, though. Yeah, okay, so here's what I was doing. I come in here, and I've on mine, I saved a copy of the old one. So what I did was I said, I will add 2 of the new one. Come on, add it. I'll add 2 of the new one. And one of them I will set to be on each tick. And then I will add the old one that is on bar close. Okay. And then we need to come in here and we need to add tick replay. What the fuck? Wait, what the fuck? It was all working yesterday. I must be crazy, dude. I must not have tested, I think that I can get it to the correct spot though really quickly. I must have made some changes and had it and then changed something else and forgot about it and not tested. Yeah, anyways. Let me come back here. Tick replay data is kind of not very good, but it's really good at helping us test our indicator logic. Sometimes you log in and none of the data loads correctly. Huh. Octavia says short. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like we should be short. Oh, hold on. We don't... Well, we have some Fed speakers and we have University of Michigan. Let's come in and write that stuff first, okay? Okay, so flows, treasuries down strong overnight. Not sure what that is. But no apparent driver. Friday flows and do end early. We have Fed speakers at 10 o'clock Eastern time, and we have University of Michigan. Michigan. Surveys at 10 o'clock. Okay. That is important because it has inflation expectations and so forth around it, right? I'm really mad because like I had it. It was all three of them were showing me the same thing. I'm like, okay, looks like I got everything set up correctly. Then I built it and sent it off. I must have like had another change in there that was not part of that test. And so then when I built it up, it saved and rebuilt things and added that new thing in. Yeah, run the old one. So weird. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, okay, there it is right there. Okay, well, so the first thing is that when I was testing this, I was looking at these numbers. So let's set those up. Orange, blue, orange, orange. Oh, actually, I'm doing the wrong ones. Gosh dang it. There we go. There we go. All right. Okay. So the current one will be off, but these, okay. Okay, so I see what I did was that I was testing just the, current buys and sells bit, because that's kind of like the underlying basis, the most important part. And I did get all of those to match, and then I wasn't looking at the actual indicator value. Okay. But that probably also means that when I get down into this part, that these running ones are wrong. I'm just being too fancy. Trying to save a little bit of processing time by not just like adding up the last few bars every time that you update this. And that's what makes it so complicated. Aha. Okay, so that right there is a problem. see. My economic calendar was pretty quick for the Canadian data, just testing different data providers. Oh, yeah. Wow. So, you know what I've found about this is that it seems to me like a lot of the services that you're talking about, like Financial Juice and yada yada, and Jigsaw has one, right? Like, they're all using the same underlying data provider. I think a lot of them, it's Bloomberg. So, for what that's worth. Oh, I missed a bit right there. Okay. Closer. Oh, actually, I don't know if it's closer or not because I can't see the running numbers for this one down here. But I do see where I was kind of had screwed up on this one. So I think I should be good on that one. I think that that is correct. I believe that that's correct right there. If I come back and I'm like, well, actually, I can just do it this way. I can say, imbalance 415, imbalance 415. Okay, so that fixed it. So now when it's running on bar close, it should exactly equal the old one. The logic is exactly the same. I just kind of changed around some variables and stuff like that, like names of variables. So now I can go back to this one. This is where you're paying me for this shit, because what dealing with the differences in the tick replay and everything gets really complicated. Okay. Yeah, quality control helps. It sure does, man. Where is oh sorry, I forget his name. He's kind of hasn't been around a bit lately because his dad was in the hospital and all that sort of stuff, right? But I tell you what, man, he was so he was so fine-toothed about it, like almost autistic. It was like he would pull things up and check every bar, like check the calculation on every bar, and if it didn't come out to what he expected, he'd ask me a question. I was like, oh man, that's like super annoying, but it makes good QA. It makes good QA. Okay, I think that right there might be a problem, but that doesn't actually explain to me why. Yeah. You're a little better at actually like using it. Really? Hold on a second. Oh yeah, that's an on bar update way of doing it. Okay, so what I'm going to say to you guys might not make entire sense because I'm not letting you see all of the code, but I'm going to try and explain the conundrum that I have here. You have a bar, and that bar is done, and so now we're at the start of a new bar. Let's draw it down here to be more realistic. Let's say that it was a down bar. So now we're at the start of this next bar, right? And what happens is I don't get a call on this new bar until there has been some volume. And essentially with the way that it works, that volume that I get actually belonged to this bar. So I have to add that volume to this bar before I can do everything to set up, reset everything for this bar. Okay. Now, the issue is that every time that this gets called, I need to know how much volume there was, because if I just have one variable that I reset every bar to keep track of the buys and sells within that bar, then I only know what the total was over here, and I don't know how much I need to go and add to this over here. But maybe I don't need to. Maybe, okay, so maybe I can do it like, I will still add to it every time? I think so, yes. I don't think I need that. Okay. Mm-hmm. 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 Uh-huh. Okay. No. Wait, what? Why did the top one change? Wait a second. How would I test this? No, that can't. That's impossible. There's no way. That's impossible. Okay, hold on. Control, copy this. Back up a bit here. Oh, okay. I see where I screwed up. I see why I screwed that up. Let's see. Why did I do that? Of course, you reset at the end of the bar. Durr. Okay, leave this one alone, Seth. That one works, I think. Right? Because the value there is 0.456, and down here, the old one, that is 0.456, so it's correct. This is wrong. this around a little bit. I think I want to use that, but I think that I'm supposed to use that. Okay. Hopefully that fixes it. Probably not. Probably there's still a little bugs in there, but I think that I got the main logic kind of sorted out to make them match each other more closely. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, what was with that? Aha. Getting closer. Okay, that shouldn't matter, but maybe I'll change that later. One thing at a time. Much better. Now let's wait for a little bit of volume to come through. So let's see here. If I go back one bar, they are the same. Okay, and it's not doing anything super crazy yet. What are we trying to solve for here? So I don't want to give up like all my source code and everything. There's a lot of complicated things that are going on here. But basically the issue is it has to do with what happens when you do something at the end of a bar versus you're using on each tick. So some of my indicators I just wrote to always run on each tick. Okay. But this one, because it was supposed to be for, an algorithm and everything else like that, I wrote it to do it at the end of the bar. And then Uzi was like, oh, but I want it to do it on each tick. So when I did that, I kind of had to sort out, how to deal with that. It's because basically the logic that I had to do it at the end of every bar, like you're doing it at the end of the bar, like when this bar ends versus doing it when this bar starts. You're doing it when this bar starts, and so then everything that you're accessing is actually bar 1. You're like writing into that previous bar as it finishes. So the logic had to be a little bit different. And you know, it took me a bunch of different tries trying to make it so that I could have one code path that handled both scenarios. And I'm not sure if it's possible, to be honest with you. There's just well, actually there is, but you get like a slight difference. What ends up happening is, like, if you use the same code path, the last order that would belong to this bar gets put on this bar. So then the values that you get are slightly different. It might only be like 12 contracts difference or whatever, but it's a difference and it bothered me. So I want them to be exactly the same. Okay, so now that we've had the new tick, we should be able to click back here and see that what it gave us was the same. So I think that we solved the problem. So now let's get rid of these, since we're pretty sure that those are the same, at least between the two versions of this. And let's turn back on the current ones just to double verify those. Oh, I lost my cornflower blue. Okay, there we go. And orange. Cornflower blue. Orange. Transparent. Transparent. And I gotta go back one bar. Okay, and now we can see they are all the same. Okay. And so now oh, did we finish the you know what? Let's listen to something different today, shall we? Let's just listen to their latest release. Okay, transparent. 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 We'll do it the same with these two. Da, 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 da. Ooh. Oh, we're not at the end here? Okay. It's slightly different. That's impossible. Why would that be? No, I think it's doing that same thing where that's a little weird. I am having a little bit of a hard time here figuring out. Okay, now they're all the same. Wait. Oh, gosh. Okay, like all three of those should be the same. That's not. Maybe I was wrong about this bit right here. Was I wrong about this bit right here? I don't think so. I think this is going to screw it up more. Let's see. Oh, no, it was. Okay, cool. Now it's correct. Now it's correct. Yes. You works. Okay. We'll just watch this as it develops here. Make sure that that's all good. So wait, how is that not? Oh, because we still don't care about the 0. That's kind of weird how that one works out. I know, maybe there's somebody out there that could write code like this and get it perfect the first time, but it kind of seems to me that there are some of these little nuances in here that you kind of just have to sort out on your own, and that's kind of what you're paying for when you pay for the indicators. Okay, so I want to really pay attention to this when we switch bars. So in 10 seconds, because I don't want that to be changing. 3, 2, 1. Okay, this is correct. It is working correctly. Lovely. And by the way, you're seeing a little bit of a market order imbalance to the long side, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me here. You're getting a lot of backwash coming in here for some reason. What's with that? Okay, so now I'm really confident that we fixed it. Let's try exporting here again. So I can do it as a compiled assembly, and this will be like release candidate 1 now. So we'll change that number there, and then this is why all of my indicators have weird names, is so that I can, because the name of the indicator right here is based on the name of the class and not the easy name that you put in the name part that shows up when you're adding it to the indicator. So that's why I have SPS at the front of them all, so that I can more easily select them. And then all the free ones have SPSF in front of them. So I don't want to add the SPSF ones here. That's a different package. Oh, here's the old one. I should change that one to be SPSZ now, or after we're done. After we're done and we're sure that it works. Oh wait, I gave you the old one, didn't I? Did I give you the old one, Newsy? I know. I'm gonna leave it out of this one because I'm so much more confident. I don't know how I feel about this song. It's a little weird. Oh, it did have both of them. Okay, well. I'll just double check here. Okay. Then another thing that I'll do is I'll come over here to the website. Yes. export. Make sure it's not adding anything that doesn't already belong in there. I think that's good. Okay. Close. Now the other thing that I have to do here, though, where should I go and grab it from? Let's use this one. Inside of here, there's the market depth tape, and I have to add that in myself. So the way that I do that, probably there's a better way to do this. I should go and find a better way to do this, but for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract the zip file. Right there. Take these two and copy them over. Okay. Compressed zip file. Oh, should be speculator speculate. Cut that. Come back up here. Delete that one. Paste that one. Delete that folder because we don't need it anymore. Close. Close. Just open this one up and make sure that it's all there. Okay. And then that is the one that we can send Uzi over here. There we go. Can you send me a compiled version of the new one so I don't have to reinstall the whole package? Oh, without the add-ons on it, huh? Yeah, I can. Or maybe just a compiled version of just the one indicator, maybe? Let's do that. Export as compiled assembly, protect it. Add these two versions here. Add it over here. There you go. I don't need it to run in each. I know, but you know me. It's like, see. Here's the problem. This is my issue. Is like if I make something, and then somebody says something that's like, oh, that is much more excellent if it did that. I can't help but want to do it. You know, like sometimes people will make suggestions like, well, that's dumb. You don't need that, or why would anybody care about that? But like that it would work in every tick so that you can see it as it's developing on the current bar rather than just like when the bar ends. Yeah, that's more excellent. That's more excellent. We should do it that way. I have to. At that choice, I have my devotion to excellence compels me. I'm a little worried though about like, okay, of the other order flow indicators that I have, how many of those were doing it at the end of the bar instead of on each tick? And will I need to do similar things for those? I am kind of wondering. I might be able to switch it. Like if I added a variable in there and I said if it's this way, use 0, and if it's on bar close, set X to 0, and if it's on each tick, set X to 1, and then I could potentially use the same logic everywhere, and just replace the 0s and 1s with X. But then that would be really confusing to read. like if I ever expand to the point where like somebody else is working on the code base, I think that would be really, really confusing to them. So it's probably better to leave it as separate methods. As long as we confirm that they are all the same. By the way, I'm not going to read this story out, but I think it's worth noting. The Zero Hedge has a story out this morning that says why next week's CPI number will be a big miss. Now, I should point out that last time around, the Zero Hedge seemed to think that CPI would be a big miss too. And it was not. It was a beat. But they do have a compelling case that's worth reading if you have a Zero Hedge subscription. I don't know if I'm feeling these new songs as much as the old ones, to be honest with you. Is that just familiarity, though? It could just be familiarity. So you want it? Where is the? Hold on a second. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Okay, you want to see the most Reddit thing ever? I find this kind of amusing. Okay. So, in Utah. Oh my gosh, this song is out there, man. It's a really metallic-y hits in there. Ooh, that is so distracting. Would be a great rave song though, man, if we were... Okay, anyways. So in Utah, we're getting a hockey team. We stole Phoenix, Arizona's hockey team. So cool, right? And their hockey team was the Coyotes, but apparently, Phoenix still has rights to have a hockey team, and they want to keep the name and everything. So it may be that Phoenix will, at some later date, start another new hockey team once they actually have a real stadium, I guess. So the Utah hockey team cannot be called the Coyotes. With the Utah Jazz, we just, it was the New Orleans Jazz, and so we just kept them the Jazz. We didn't come up with a new name. These ones, we're starting a new team. We have to pick a new name. Okay. So if you go to the Utah hockey subreddit, everybody's arguing about what should the new name be. Okay. So you're going to see, for some reason, well, because it's Reddit. Actually, I think I know why. Okay. Reddit wants the name to be Mammoth. They want it to be the Utah Mammoth or Mammoths. Shouldn't it be the Mammoths? Oh, well, whatever. Okay, why is that? Well, because people on Reddit are autistic and autistic people like dinosaurs and so forth. And, you know, mammoths are kind of dinosaur adjacent. Ergo, I don't know if it really makes much sense for a Utah name because mammoths are everywhere in North America. It's not just, I mean, yes, we've found them in Utah, but you'll find them everywhere. Like, haven't you ever heard of mammoth tusks? Which actually kind of, you know what? There was this one, there's this guy, his name is Blacktail Studios, and he makes like epoxy desks and stuff. And one of the projects that he did was epoxy a mammoth tooth. And apparently, and it looked like it was a lot of work, and it smelt at the first until it was completely dried out. And oh man, it was a lot of work for something that I don't think his wife really liked, but it's a mammoth tooth, a lot of work. Okay, they're everywhere. Okay, they're rare, but you can find them everywhere, right? Here you go, Team Mammoth, rise up. Yada, 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 yada. Okay. And meanwhile, they really, really hate the name Yetis. I'm not promoting there should be mammoths or Yetis or anything. But, like, just read what these guys are saying. Yeti seems to be gathering a bit of traction, and I'm inclined to believe it's from a lot of people that aren't familiar with the NHL. Yetis have been synonymous with the Colorado Avalanche since their move and rebranding from Quebec. For years, they had a mascot named Howler. It was only after Howler and a fan of the opposing team got into a physical altercation that Colorado decided to scrap Howler. In addition to their mascot, the Avalanche also had Yeti foot as their secondary logo. It was a shoulder logo from the start, and they continued to use it for years, even after their replacement mascot, Bernie, a St. Bernard, was adopted. To this day, it continues to be a prominent logo with fans and still sold on all types of merchandise. Colorado Avalanche fans on social media constantly wish for Howler and the foot to come back. It's a historical branding of their team, and it was prominent with them when they won their first 2 cups yet. The Yeti foot in particular has a much deeper historical meaning due to their most beloved players, Adam Foote, being an integral part of the team when they won those early cups. His numbers also retired by the team. So the point is, Yeti is a lazy copy of a prominent piece of history in a team right next door to us. It's not unique in the slightest and doesn't even make much sense considering Yetis are from Nepal, nowhere nearly remotely close to Utah. While I don't think we necessarily need a name that's completely irrelevant to Utah, it is another minor point against name being factoring in all the Avalanche history. Okay, so here's what I think. I think that all of the reasons that this guy doesn't want the name to be Yeti is probably exactly why the name will be Yeti, right? Why would Colorado use that name in the first place? Because it has widespread appeal and marketability. That's why. And so for the same reason that they found it to be an effective, branding over there, it's likely to be effective branding over here. And guess what? Like nobody here knows anything about the Avalanche. Nobody here cares anything about that. I don't think that our Yeti will look so stupid. I would hope that our Yeti looks cooler than that. More like a mountain man, scary sort of a thing, you know? But whatever. It doesn't matter. Nobody in Utah knows or cares. And you're talking about like a sports team. You know, like that's a wide market. It's a much wider market than what you're usually dealing with like on your typical subreddit, right? Good morning, A. Paul. So like when you're talking about like that broad of an audience, right? It is very often like the lowest common denominator wins, right? So whichever of the names just has the broadest widespread appeal. Get my words here correct. The broadest widespread appeal is probably going to win. And so Reddit not wanting Yeti is probably exactly why that's going to win. That's why I say it's like the most Reddit thing ever. So then here, let me show you. If we come back over here. Let's see here. Their voting has already opened. Here we go. The local news station. made a straw poll. Give me a straw poll. Here's all the names. You got Yeti, Mammoth, Freeze, Blast, Blizzard, Ice, Canyons, Caribou, Mountains, Powder, Fury, Venom, Outlaws, Swarm, Hive, Squall, Black Diamonds, Frost, Glaciers. I kind of think Utah Black Diamonds would kind of be like professional, high-class marketing. Maybe that won't work either. But if there's a dark horse in there, it's that one, right? Okay, but what are the results? 16.32% Yeti. The next one, I'm actually surprised that Outlaws is next. I don't know if that is as good of a brand. It's not as family friendly, but whatever. And then Mammoth at 10%. It's going to be Yeti. Probably it's going to be Yeti, right? And then Reddit is going to be super disappointed and not get involved. And it's just so stereotypically Reddit. You get what I'm saying? Get what I'm saying? Probably don't care about Utah sports teams, do you? No. I think we're going to have to get into hockey, though, guys. I don't know. Probably we should get into horse racing. I don't know. I think horse racing is cool, actually. There's a lot of things about horse racing that I really like. Maybe if I had my own piece of land and stuff and I was a millionaire, maybe I would have a horse. But there's not really horse racing in Utah. I mean, there's a track, but it's not really a thing over here. So can't really participate in it too much. And then I go and I see the videos from the Downs race last weekend, and I'm like, this is like freaking Hunger Games BS. This, I don't know if I want to be associated with that. The song isn't bad. This kind of sounds like something I would make. Well, the treasuries, since we've started here, we kind of had that backwash coming in. Not quite sure what's with that. We did get a little bit of steepening of the yield curve here, but not too much. You do have to wonder if the fall was being driven by, somebody steepening the yield curve and selling 30s. And we do have about 20 minutes before the Michigan numbers, inflation expectations there will be really important. So, it's not outside of the range of possibilities that we go for a new low before then, but I'm going to bet that we kind of stay within this range until then. I think that the opportunity to move something is probably past. So you want to know something else I find interesting about this straw poll, in these results? Okay, powder is not last. People would rather be called ice and powder than blast. I don't know. What's wrong with the word blast? I'm surprised that one doesn't appeal to anybody. Squall is actually, I don't know. When you see that one, you think that it's an Indian name, and that's probably a bad option because of all of that stuff. But when I think of a squall, I think of the weather event. So whatever. This is probably not a good choice. Also, Blizzard is up. I'm surprised that Blizzard is up there that high. But whatever. They can make a partnership with Dairy Queen. Utahns love their ice cream. Would work. It would be great. You know that Utah eats the most ice cream out of anywhere? Oh boy. I'm not going to read this thread. I'm just going to tell you that it's there. The top thread on Ask Reddit right now is what screams I watch too much porn. That should be an entertaining thread. Oh. Oh, man. You know what? It's been a slow week on the news. Or at least on the kind of more economic news. There's definitely been a lot on, like, there's the Trump court cases, and there's this whole thing with Israel. Actually, so here's a thought about the Israel thing. So, Joe Biden seems to be working very desperately to try and get some sort of a peace deal in the Middle East. He actually kind of seems to be, in many people's eyes, betraying the Israelis. And so the question is, why? Why is he doing what he's doing? I mean, he seems like he's always been a pretty supportive person of Israel and whatnot. But it is kind of hurting him politically. And then I keep saying, well, like, the best thing politically would be to let Israel finish the job and stop delaying it so that you can get this issue out and everybody can forget about it, right? Well, the right, over the past day or so, has come to a conclusion about why he's doing it that I think is kind of interesting. And I don't know if it's because that's just what they think about Joe Biden, and we have reasons to think that about Joe Biden, or if it's projection or what. But it was not the first thought that came to my mind, but maybe they're correct. And that is, they think that Biden is doing it because Biden is a unapologetically pursues political power. That he has unbridled. Oh my gosh, I had the word and then I lost it. Ambition. He has unbridled ambition. And that's what Joe Biden has been his whole career, is a political opportunist that will do everything he can to increase his political power. And so he thinks that kind of stabbing Israel in the back is going to give him more political power, perhaps. That's what they're kind of insinuating. I find that really interesting. And I find it, what I find interesting about it is how it's like all of the sudden, all of the conservative outlets are all saying the same thing about that. We got something going on here in the euro. Look at that. So the dollar here is falling because of the euro. The Japanese yen is up, but just a tiny bit. This one is kind of a trancey song, but you know, I think it's not quite there. Like, it's got all of the elements, but it doesn't actually use the right analog instruments and stuff. What's this that Nassim Taleb's got today? Why'd the market just die? I don't know. You know what? Here's a better question. Why was the market selling in the first place? Right? Like it makes sense to me that you have a large meta order, they're selling, and then that large meta order stops, you get the backwash, and then it just kind of goes nowhere. But why were they selling originally? Does not make sense to me. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. We've been really blessed the last couple of months. Like, there's been a lot of volatility and activity in the treasuries, right? And it really, really is, especially after that non-farms. Especially after that non-farms, it's like the volatility just like died. Wouldn't surprise me in the least bit if the CPI next Wednesday was lower than anticipated, and after that you really see volatility like just crash, you know, because if we go into a period where like the volatility is gone because we think that it is the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates, right? That could make scalping real hard, or we'll have to change some of our approaches. In some respects, that can make trading easier for us, because if we know of a meta order, it makes it a lot easier to identify, because there's not as much going on, so there's not as much to differentiate from, and you can front run it. But it also tends to mean that there's less large meta orders that we actually are aware of. So, you know, in that situation, you got to be more selective and really tight with it, and then yeah, you got the whole summer is on top of that. So trading might be hard. Trading might be hard. I can I can very easily see this turning into like a 2017 style market where the treasuries just go nowhere and it's super frustrating. And the S&P 500, if you're long stocks, it's great. But if you're day trading, you just get chopped up. And like nobody wants to day trade anymore. Nobody wants to be involved in futures. Because that was 2017, right? Like when we started doing this on YouTube, nobody wanted to do any of this, right? And then all of a sudden in 2020, like everybody wanted to do it. It was crazy, right? Yeah, well, you're right. We would have to shift to more market maker strategies. We would want to be going for one tickers. And maybe in that environment, it would work better for us. Of course, we would just have to be aware when the meta order is coming through and when the volatility is increasing, so that when that happens, we can shift back. Right? When in that 2017 market, you know, I never kind of figured it out. And we've been talking about this ever since 2020. Like, will this come back? seems like it's even more likely now than ever. So can I shift to some of those strategies? Because it seems to me this week that I've called these pretty good. Wouldn't you say? I haven't taken any trades off of them. I'm always like, wow, this move here seems like they really moved, but I don't really see the cumulative delta following with it. Doesn't make sense to me why they would be making a move right now, and it's been in a place where we're really tight. So I think that you fade this one. Well, I didn't say I think that you fade, but I don't think you want to jump on board this one. I should say I think that you fade it, because if we did fade them up, probably would do okay. This one, you know, a little bit up, that might make it seem like, hey, we're going to go, but you know, we got 10 minutes. I think that was probably just noise. By the way, Uzi, did the new one install okay and it looks correct now? I can sell the Uzi. Uzi sells to you, then I buy it back. I guess if you want to do a round robin and just continue pushing the price up, but eventually then somebody has to sell it and doesn't buy it back again, and you get caught holding it. And which one of you is it going to be? Oh, of course it will be me. Yes. And I wish that we had the resources and the people and organization to run like a mock game. You know, like we create a little exchange, okay, and we give everybody a ton of money, and then y'all just put the orders in. It's a limit order book. It's a fake market that has nothing to do with anything, right? But then you know, you're just trading it against each other, and you can kind of see how those games work, you know. And yeah, because that's the sort of thing that can happen is you can buy this and then offer at 27.5, and then the other guy buys at 27.5 and offers at 28, and then you buy 28 and offer 28.5, and that can continue. Two people can go back and forth until, you know, they get too big, and then one doesn't do it, and it all unwinds. When I go back to the overnight session, it kind of goes haywire. Yeah, that's interesting. Why would it do that with the tick replay? Because I don't think that mine did that. That's on ZN. Yeah. He says yes. Oops. Okay. Indicators. There's the new one, there's the old one, and on this one, we say on each tick. And then I have to change the data series to do tick replay. Oh, mine does it too. I wonder why I didn't notice that before. So let's add this one and say on bar close versus on each tick. Okay, so on bar close is correct, and it's just the on each tick one. So we can compare those against each other to kind of try and see where the issue is. Let's start with just like current buys. Make sure that we're not screwing something up there. Okay, so current buys looks fine. I'm just going to do buys that way, and I have to saves me a little bit of time. And now we'll go to the running buys. This is probably where the error lies. Oh no, that does not make sense at all. That does not make sense at all. Well, now that's weird. So when we come back over to here, okay, so obviously that bar is different, but then when we come to here, like when we did this before, they were exactly the same. We tested this before and they were exactly the same. They matched exactly. And now they don't. No, I don't think it is. I really don't think it's tick replated. I think there's an error in my code. See, you see this? This is ADHD right here, man. This is the how ADHD traumatizes you. I know. I just know from, you know, almost every experience in my life, it's probably my thing. Probably there was an oversight. I do feel a little crazy here, though, because we did test this, right? We had all three of them up there, and we went tick by tick, and I'm like, okay, they're all the same, and now all of a sudden they're not. And I'm like, what the F? Aha. So wait, which... Oh, no, it's not. Hold on, let me change this. If I change the imbalance here to be white. Okay. Well, that don't make much sense. Ooh, I like this. This feels so retro to me. Huh. There's the DOMs. What is that? We're trying to debug something here. That does not make sense to me because, okay, so these are slightly different. I don't know what's with that. I need to go back and look at it again. This is another one of those, like, did I, like, not thoroughly test X and Y and whatever? It's something's messed up with it. But, the last thing I remember changing was these periods. I was like, it should work this way. Why is it not? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, I rebuilt it. And that looks more correct to me. So very, very weird. So very, very, very weird. Okay. So now they seem to match exactly. But did I change like 2 things there or something or before? I don't know. If I change this back to white, I probably still get, yeah, I do. Okay. Okay, so here's what I know what I'm gonna do. Oh, wait, is it because... Okay, so wait, so if I made a change, let's compile and make sure that it didn't change anything. F5. Okay, that still looks good. So is it because... Oh, you know what? I didn't even hear the news squawk give our numbers. The market didn't move that much. Well, let's see here. 5-year was 3.1 versus an expected 3, and 1 year was 3.5 versus an expected 3.2. And we did see some selling, but it did not bring the market to new lows. I feel dumb for missing that, but that's okay. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. Yes, it does. Actually, let's just remove the two of them. Could also have something to do with like, you know, you have these data series and you don't. Okay. Okay. Let's try this again, shall we? No, that's not what I wanted. That one. Okay. Sent. Try that. Try that. So, you know, if you're interested in this indicator that we're working on, it's kind of like, yeah, so there's this jigsaw thing where it will show you like the total number of orders, right? And you can have this open and then see like how many orders have come in and like what's the imbalance between them, right? Well, what if you wanted to graph that? This is essentially what the indicator does. It's like these power meters. It's more like this power meter over here, and there's like a setting in it in the reconstructed tape power meter, I think, where you can say long-term power meter, and you know, set it to 600, right? So it'd be the same as that. Import failed. Modify a method signature. I don't know. Yeah, or uninstall one section. I don't know. Hold on. Oh, last time that's what... Oh, really? Okay, let's do that then. Would maybe work if you, like... dumped everything out. I don't know. That makes me, you know, something about that kind of screams... DLL hell, but F. So what I will do though this time, because the issue was you didn't want to import the add-on because the add-on makes you, yeah. So what I will do is I will not add the add-on in there yet. And I will send you the whole package like that. See if that works. No. You try that one, and here I'll repackage it. You can try that later. So there's the one for the add-ons for later. Well, I tell you what. So first of all, I'm still a little embarrassed, but that I did not was not paying attention when the University of Michigan data came through. I do think that 1 year inflation preliminary being 3.5 instead of 3.2 is a big problem, but expectations were down, conditions were down quite a bit. Like we got 66.5 when they expected it to be 75. So we're seeing a real shift in sentiment about the economy. So those two things maybe cancel each other out a little bit. But I'm still surprised that the treasury market seems to like not be doing a whole lot here. Now, the S&P 500 seems to be selling off, and in fact, I'm maybe even seeing a few ticks of bid to safety over here. So let's kind of keep an eye on that. We might see the stock market, say that there's a decent dump in TLT. It's kind of weird why I don't see it here, but maybe that dump that you're seeing in TLT was just the news coming out. Uzi says that fixed it. Well, even though I'm not showing you guys all of the code for this, I think that what I've been showing you today is a good example of how to debug these kinds of indicators, right? Is like you have to get it to plot something out and have something to compare it against, and just see the values and see what it does. And one of the things that I will do is that there's a lot of like interim calculations, and a lot of time people will just have little variables in there that save those things, but I will save them into additional data series that I make available to you and just make transparent so that they don't graph. And that makes it so that when I want to go and debug it, I can just turn those on, and it's a lot easier to debug because I can see which component it was, which data series has the error in it, and that narrows down my search space. The other thing that you can do that I had to do yesterday to solve some problems was have add the current bar debug tool, because if most of the bars are fine, but it's just like this one bar. Okay, well, which bar is it? So I need to know which bar it is. I use the current bar debug tool, and then I could do something like I could put an if statement to say if current bar equals, and then put that number in, and then stop the debugger there and see what was going on, for instance. Yeah. I'm a little, because I'm seeing this bid, so I'm thinking, okay, the S&P 500 is selling off. Maybe they're bidding it up because of the sell. But number one, this is just a retracement of the opening move in yes. So I don't know if they're really going to extend on the downside or not, or rather, are they going to be able to get below 5250? But then below 5250, then maybe they could extend, and then we would want to see, do we see the treasuries continue to bid up? But I still am kind of a little bit weary that like the overall flow in treasuries may be to the short side. Now it's a Friday, and then things kind of die out quickly. And since we didn't really get anything from the University of Michigan numbers, that might, it may just turn dead. But so far, it doesn't seem to be doing that. I'm still seeing a decent amount of activity over here. Cumulative delta in the 10-year has been flat since the news, but the level 2 activity is still there. So Uzi, when you say good to go, does that mean that like I don't see any errors anymore, or just that I loaded it up and I'm looking at it now? Oh, I totally forgot about this. So did you guys hear that over the next 24 hours, we're getting such a large solar mass ejection hitting the Earth that you will be able to see the aurora borealis as far south as Texas? You believe that? So there's some people on Reddit panicking about a possible, like internet apocalypse sort of a thing where a flare hitting, destroys so much internet infrastructure that, oh my gosh, that could happen. That'd be awful. That happens, buy treasuries. Or maybe don't buy treasuries. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the financial system can handle a shock like that right now. Jeez. It's a little scary to think about. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think that our electronics are a little bit more resistant than people give them credit for. Let's look at there's a cloud. Is there a cloud cover? US visible. That can't be because it's well, I guess that's only a little cloud. Wow, it looks like you're getting like a hurricane over there in Florida. But if that really is today's weather map, then that means that most people will be able to see it tonight. Not the case because I can see a little bit. I can see a little bit of blue through there. It was windy today. Only up north, Tallahassee got tornado. Yes. You're still dry in Central Florida? Okay, so we are getting another flush here. There's 4,800 contracts at 24.5. I'm gonna try. Oops, it's already too late. Probably should have put order at 24.5 when I started seeing the iceberging and to see if it goes through. Okay, so that did break a new low. It was just kind of like freak volume out of nowhere. You just got out of your short? That's funny. Well, I'm not planning on sticking around with this one for too long. I am a little bit worried about like I think that if I were to get short anywhere in here, okay, so there's my fill. If I were to get short anywhere in here and hold it like, for an hour or two, I think that you should be able to get a little bit of favorable excursion. But I think that you're also going to take some adverse excursion too, and especially if I'm just looking for a tick. I don't want to mess with that, right? Like they're just ticking up there at 24. That's not what I want to see, right? Also, what's with that 25 half? Do you see that? You see that right there? aren't they putting liquidity up at 25 half? Did you see when they ticked down, you saw a few orders stack and then like it immediately ticked back up and pulled? And like everything else has like 4,000 contracts on, except for that. What's with that is so bizarre. That is very unusual. Let's just make a note right here. 25 half. That's weird. So to see a strong meta order this late into the session on a Friday is unusual. Like, okay, we had University of Michigan. That's a pretty big survey. We would typically see like a move off of that, and it like barely budged. And then 20 minutes after that, then we got a flush lower. Unusual. That's unusual. The amount of liquidity that I'm seeing looks a little thick, even for this week, because you're starting to see a lot of prices that are like 5. There's a lot of 5Ks below us. So I think that there is somebody big out there executing. It's just, the problem is like, okay, we're noticing it. We're noticing it. That it might already be over. I don't know if there's going to be another leg. So we got to be careful about the spot that we pick if we're going to do it. That's why I only took one tick off of that. And that one tick was what, 24? Yeah. 24 to 23 half, so. They didn't touch 25, so that's cool, but we do have 4,000 contracts now at 25 half, so the liquidity there seems to have improved. It's still lower than all of the prices around it, so that's still a little odd. Maybe it is that, okay. So do you see this, that through this whole area right here, there's not as much liquidity? Like there's a lot of liquidity at 26 half, but below that there's not. So this is kind of the area that they've eaten through. So maybe it was that there was low liquidity all the way through here, but there's somebody's putting an order at 25, 24 half, and that's actually the unusual thing. But that kind of just highlights the situation here that I'm a little bit nervous about, is that we seem to be getting a large meta order, so we could see some continuation of the downside, but I see the liquidity conditions as being prone to the backwash. Let's recenter it. I don't know, guys. Like I can see the pressure there, but when I see those big orders at 23, 22 half, I think it will be hard for them. I don't think that those orders will just pull. If they do pull, then we might want to, okay, wow. So they didn't pull, but they hit that hard. Okay, but an event like that in that situation is definitely a hands off for me now, right? Like that's very likely. That's very likely to create a liquidity hole there. Yeah, that was a little wild. To see 8K trade there all at once. Wait, how big was the meta order at itself? Oh wow, it was. The reconstructed tape says that a large market order of 79.20 came through there, and there just there just happened to be an iceberg sitting there, ate the whole thing, I guess you could say. Is it somebody stopping out? I think that's a good theory in that situation. Yes. I think that's a very good theory in that situation. Yeah, I have a hard time thinking someone with 8,000 contracts is setting up a stop loss. Whenever I see a big order like that, I always think either they want me to see that and it's a trick, or somebody screwed up. and that does feel like somebody screwed up. So like here's something that to think about, okay? So like these institutional traders, like if you're executing large meta orders for Goldman Sachs, for instance, okay? And they have these special DOMs where, for instance, I can put an order in down in here, and then I can right click on it or click on it. And here I can say, oh, I want to change the number of that I'm going to put on. I can want to change the limit price. Theirs will have a little box that says refreshing order, and then another box to say how many to show at a time. Something like that, right? And there's also going to have settings for like auto stack, auto pull. So like it will put orders at every price, and then unless you say something, it will automatically put orders at every price. But then you can also say, oh, I actually do want the fill here. Okay. But the rest of them is just putting them in there so that you have a spot in line. Okay. And it's constantly doing that and adding and stacking and pulling them to save its spot in line. Right. Okay. But the way that they do this is like, okay, I need to buy. I'm going to have like an iceberg somewhere over here where it's like, if they get below this certain level, then I definitely want to take them, because even though it's moving down and I could get more, like that's just such a good price for me to get in terms of like what I paid for it and all of these other things that they're okay in taking it, right? So they always will kind of have like this meta order sitting out somewhere, okay? And then like way beyond that, there will be like a stop or something, depending on what they're doing. Okay. So when I see a big meta order like that, when I see a big meta order clash into a large iceberg like that, that's one of the things that kind of goes through my head is like, okay, so there was a passive guy there with an order sitting there. May have been sitting there for a long time. All of a sudden, he just got filled. Okay, so one, that is probably going to exhaust the market makers in that area. It creates an area where we're very likely to rotate around it for a little bit. But then the other side of it is, what if it goes lower than that? Right? So there was a big guy sitting there just for passive sake and everything. But if they fill him and they still need to sell more, how many more do they need to sell? And who's going to take the other side of that one? You know? So it kind of turns into, okay, we're gonna rotate around here, but then if like another leg comes, whoo, look out. Alligator says somebody's in a hurry to close the books and leave for the weekend. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of weird. The market moving down and steepening, that is kind of the inflation rearing its ugly head kind of trade is the thing. So Alligator's saying somebody's in a hurry to leave for the weekend. I mean, it's a good theory, but I'm kind of sitting here like, what kind of a huge position did they have? Why would they have a position like that? Yeah, I should ask him that. Do you see another 7,000 traded at 23, and we have now traded 29,000 contracts. It wouldn't surprise me to see 23 become point of control, but I'm still kind of seeing pressure. So, you know, the kind of like mean reversion thing might not hold. Okay, this is a good bit at 23. So they ticked up. They took out an iceberg of 4,800, and then there was almost 3,000. Okay, Kashkari is talking. Was it because of something Kashkari? Well, okay, so some people have been concerned about what Kashkari might say today because he's been a little bit hawkish. But I hadn't heard anything on the news squawk. I don't think that initial move down was something else. Okay, they've gone back and forth at 23 a few times, but I'm seeing that bid still seems to be pretty good. Current baseline is that strong productivity rates will moderate. What does that mean? What's this? Okay, and 23 half goes bid as well. Now, can they get back above 24 though? Octavius, I think we're in the second leg of a short. I think so too. I think so too. I think so too. And I think that leg ended up being so short because there was the icebergs below it. And so the guy got filled on what he wanted really quickly. And all of this up here is just the people that, maybe ate that puking here. Okay, well, geez. You know, I think I played that pretty well, actually. Oh, wait, did I? I didn't take a trade on that. I took the trade at 24. I took the 24 to 23 half, and I was already out for the 23 and 22 half yet. But, you know, that situation there at 23 is exactly the one that I would always get stuck in. Like, as a beginning trader, this is why, like, understanding this property of markets has been so useful to my trading. Seeing a really, really big order get executed there and everything, like, yeah, it's an indication of trend, but it screws up the liquidity in that spot. And so it's really hard for them to just continue through. If they do continue through, then look out. It's like a trend day. But when I see big orders pop out like that, I avoid them. Don't want to get involved in that area. Now that we're back here, you know, if I think that there's a really strong fundamental reason to keep selling, I'm not 100% sure if there is. I think, you know, coming back to looking at what we got, I don't know what the overnight driver was. We got Fed speakers, that's potentially hawkish, and the University of Michigan survey, you know, it was mixed, but I'm going to say that the inflation expectations matters more, and so that's hawkish as well. So I would have to lean on the short side. Right? I am curious if there's an interpretation for significant swings in the value of the cost basis. Well, yes. Sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to sort out, though, right? So if we go to the cost basis that we have now, okay, when what you're seeing in the cost basis here and here is basically reflecting that there was really heavy market selling in that area. So those those people market making long took a lot there, essentially. It's also kind of reflecting, like, I think the reason this is going up here is because those bids are all getting filled, so that the model is interpreting all of those fills down there as profit taking, which allows the cost basis to go up. Right? Well, it does bring the sell side cost basis down. Right, because, you know, think about the DOM here. It's going to be, here's the sells, and here's buys, right? So what happened on that move was these guys all got filled. These guys didn't get filled as much, but there was still some fills on that. So every time that there's a fill on the offer lower, that's going to bring that cost basis down, right? And then vice versa for these guys, every time that there's a fill on the bid, it's going to bring their cost basis down. But it's also every time that there's a fill on the offer, it's going to consider that profit taking. And so then that volume from up higher or wherever it was, I don't know. I actually can't explain why it went up and down though. Anyways, but you know, you kind of understand how the indicator works. So I can't necessarily explain them in all instances, but you know, you can definitely see this. I mean, with the way that we've been trading this, now that we feel like we've had a large meta order, you know, I think that it would make sense for them to come back to 26, right? That would be the bounce play at least. I don't know if I really like that trade, but I think that the main reason I don't like that trade is because of the time. I think that it's likely to just kind of start doing this now. Maybe a little bit lower, but yeah. So let me expand on this with the cost basis. In the cost basis, so this is a weird thing about NinjaTrader that I hate, and maybe I will just make a new indicator. Let's make a note here. I'll put it over here. So, you know, if you look at the cost basis indicator itself, okay, there's all of these extra data series. And these extra data series are actually how it gets calculated. Now, if you add these on here, it doesn't work right. It'll screw up your chart if you add these on here. Because what will happen is, you know, profits long will be like 4,000 or whatever, and that's like way above where it is on the chart, right? So basically, I have a situation where I have 4 data series that you would want to display on the chart itself. And then I have, you know, how many are there? 6, 7 data series that would be better to go on underneath, right? So if you really want to show it, what you would do is add it twice. Add it twice, and the second one that you add on, you know, just make these ones visible. Make these ones visible and cross out these ones and then drag it down here so that it's down here, right? And then you would be able to see the components that it's drawing. And then you would be able to do those sorts of things where you'd say, okay, the reason that the cost basis moved in this way was because their inventory changed in this way and their profits changed in this way. And yeah, and then you can explain it, right? With the way that it is, I kind of don't always understand it, and it's kind of hard. You have to guess a little bit. I should make a new version of the indicator that is like, we'll just show these things and we'll like share the data. If it detects the other indicator on there already, then it will share the data so that it's not extra processing for you to have it on the chart, is what I should do. Maybe I'll get a chance to do that. It's windy out there. If it stays icky, then I may just be inside all weekend and I can program it. What laptop would you recommend to run Jigsaw, TradingView, and possibly Bookmap in terms of RAM, etc. Okay, well, so in terms of RAM, you would want to have a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM. If you're going to do back testings, 32 gigabytes is like better. 32 or 64. But you're not going to see very many people go to 32 and 64 these days, especially on a laptop. The most important thing for a laptop is that laptops will do things with your processor and everything else to save power. So one of the first things that you do is well, I can't show it because it's on I'm on a desktop, but you know, if you were on a laptop, there would be like a battery indicator down here, and then when you click on the battery, it will give you the power plan settings, and you can say, I want to do energy saving, or I want to do high performance, right? So always have that set to be high performance. But some laptops, even if you have it set to high performance, just don't perform very well. Like the processor will kind of like run slower to save power, and that can mean like hitches. Okay. So for that problem, first thing is you can test it. There's something called a DPC latency checker. And this is intended for you to test your computer to see how good it would be for like audio applications, like if you wanted to produce music on it, right? But the DPC latency gives you a good idea of how responsive your trading systems will be to. Okay, so you want something with low DPC latency, but the way that you make sure that you get a laptop with good DPC latency is pick a laptop that specifically advertises multimedia as one of its, primary things, right? So if you get like a MacBook Pro, those handle it great. They don't use Windows, so there's kind of a problem there, but those have always kind of been good. You can go and buy an older Intel Mac and then install Windows on it, and that would work great for trading, right? And it'd probably be cheaper too. But any of these ones that you go, Dell, Lenovo, wherever it is that you go, there's going to be like different lines of laptops, and one of the lines is going to be built for people at home that want to like watch movies or make music on the laptop, and that's the one that you want to get. Makes sense. Personally, though, if you're doing it for trading, I would highly recommend just getting a desktop. You'll get more bang for your buck. It will probably be cheaper than the laptop overall. It's not actually good to trade on the go, so I would only get the laptop if you need it for something else. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it's almost time for us to go, and it is kind of like they haven't touched 22.5 yet. They are kind of like flattening out here as we anticipated. So all's right with the world. Profit takers won? I wouldn't put it that way. I think that the way I look at it is always, is there a large meta order, right? There was a large meta order, and then the large meta order was complete, and you have post meta order impact, right? Zoop, and then post meta order impact. Yeah, and it's so funny, like once you see that pattern and the curves to it, and you actually look at the chart, you realize, oh, actually, that explains better what it's doing than the things that where people draw it like this and it goes like, then it's a higher low, right? This is a better chart. Like, look at it. Look at it. Look at the 10-year here. Zoom in a little bit so that we're only looking at the part where we had the big sell, right? Here's the order. See how it kind of flattens out at the end? Right? Like they run into the extent of their impact and then zoop. Post meta order impact right there. Post meta order short term regime change. It's like the most technical wording for it, right? And then what? We balance and just go nowhere. Right? Why? Because the meta order's gone. The meta order is gone. Now, you can read that there was absorption in here. There was absorption in here, and so they didn't get that far because of the tough liquidity down below us. But, you know, how big is the meta order? That was what really matters there. How big is the meta order? Because sometimes you get a really huge meta order that just blasts through that, and it would have gone lower and lower and lower and lower, right? That's not today, though. It's Friday. Once you understand, so let me just explain this. And then I gotta get going, okay? The formula is the change in price is equal to Y, which is a scalar unique to every instrument, but is consistent over broad periods of time of a year or 2 years. Y times the volatility of the stock, of the thing, you know, like how much it moves during that time, times the square root of the size of the meta order over the volume. If you were to graph that out to say, we already know omega and V and everything, but what is Q? How does the price change as Q gets larger? You get a graph that looks like this, right? Because remember, we say we're going to trade 1% of the total volume for the period. That means that we're going to trade 10 times the volatility, right? Because 0.01, okay, there's 0.01 V, the V's cancel out, right? So then it's just the square root of 0.01. Square root of 0.01 equals 0.1, right? But what is the square root of 0.02? Is it 0.2? No, it's not. It's 1.4 something. Square root of 2, right? That's why you get this curve like this. And that's why you see this, right? Comes down, and then like, look, it flattens out at the end and kind of goes sideways. And then the meta order stops. And when the meta order stops, it comes back a little bit. Right? Once this happens, right, everybody's all like, oh, okay, here's my pullback. I want to get short here. Well, that could work because this might go flat and then we sell more and there's another meta order later on, right? Okay. But this is not actually necessarily the best time. The best time to sell it would be like right here, so you don't have to deal with all the drama, right? Or, you know, you don't know how far back it's going to go. That's another issue. I guess in this situation, you might have been able to guess that would have been the top. So understanding the square root law can help you pick your spots better. Big time. Okay, guys, it's time for me to go. I will see you on Monday. Hopefully I get some stuff done this weekend. But anyways, in the meantime, stay excellent, team.